Good day, everyone. This is Orlando Mcallister, bringing you a new show at a new air slot called Rising Star. My co-host for the evening is Veronica Key.
Hello.
Any shout-outs out there, Veronica?
To the VK Report viewers.
All right. Well, I just got through playing. I've been doing this playing for a little while. Some tracks that you heard were from the Jamie Ebersol series. I played a Miles Davis tune called The Theme. Veronica, you want to introduce our guest here for the day?
No, you do that.
Okay. To my right, Najuma. Najuma is a student at the College of New Rochelle, where presently I teach video. And to her right is Tony. Tony is also a student taking video production. You want to ask him a question about production, maybe?
Well, what do you think? Because we had him on camera, Tony. And so, was that the first time you were on camera?
Yes, that was. That was
really? He was excellent. Excellent, excellent. So was that something that you were taught? Like, did you have like a concept of what to do? Now that you actually had hands-on, you were able to just apply it?
More or less from Professor Mcallister, in class teaching us, different techniques as far as the camera's concerned. I just took those lessons and I utilized them behind the things that you was telling me.
Right, right. You must be teaching him like really well because he just kind of like just picked it up.
Yeah, we started out the class with basic theory, shot composition, three-point lighting scheme, the 3 phases of production, which is quite important, the pre-production aspect, production, and post-production.
Right.
So when they got here, it's like natural. So theory is important with practice.
Exactly, exactly. And so what type of video are you interested in or just producing in general?
Well, I mean, I want to take the broad aspect of it, but initially I would like to do like some music videos, some rap, some R&B. I would probably like to do like 1 or 2 documentaries.
Right.
It's a variety of things I would like to do, but I want to start basic.
Right, right. And what about you?
Me personally, I would like to do underground documentaries. I think it's very important. And I want to stay away from music videos, and I would like to,
But what's wrong with that? What's wrong with music?
Well, there's nothing wrong with music, but I think for me to come at a music video, there are a lot of different aspects I would have to change, and so I think I would stick to like documentaries of underground artists.
Well, talk about music because this is a jazz musician here. It doesn't seem like music is changing now. It seems like we're just moving so far from the instrumental.
Well, it seems that we're kind of glorifying the rapper as opposed to the instrumentalist.
Yes.
It takes many years of dedication to master a specific instrument, whether it's violin, bass, horns. A lot of musicians just spend many hours just running scales, doing music theory, sight reading, and it just spurs the other senses.
Right.
It's so important, it's so critical. Nothing wrong with rap. Well, let's find a balance.
But who do we blame for that? The fact that our, young people aren't doing music. Who do we blame? The schools, curriculum, or?
More or less for me, I think it's just the advancement with technology. I mean,
it makes it easier for us, right?
Actually, it does. But for a lot of the young individuals coming up, it's like they don't do the things that the older generation has done when they were in school. I mean, as far as music classes, hands-on with certain instruments, so on and so forth. Now it's like, all right, well, I'm going to get on this keyboard. The keyboard is hooked up to a computer. I'm going to press a few keys, and that's basically the bottom line.
There's some creativity in that.
Well, yes, there's creativity.
Oh, definitely. It's just a different kind of creativity.
that, but I think that they focus more on, okay, let's get on a computer and find out, where I could dub what and what from whom, instead of let's get on this piano or these drums or on this saxophone and see what beat we can come up with to be original to use. And I think that's we need to bring more music back into school, learning how to play.
It did take it out.
Learning how to play instruments. It doesn't just help the kids with music, it helps them with mathematics, it helps them with science, it helps them to function, release stress. We think kids don't have stress and everything, but nowadays they do.
That's a relief.
And that is another outlet. Besides just, I'm not knocking rap because rap is original, but it's another outlet too to go along with.
Let me ask the question, because I believe, to some degree, your creativity is being stifled. But what about the fact that, okay, if you don't know how to play drum, but you hear that drum sample there, then, I mean, I'm sure there's like a thought, something within your mind that says, I want a certain sound, and then you play around until you find it. Isn't that still a part of that?
Well, if I was a drummer, if I was a drummer and I asked another drummer to play what I hear because I haven't mastered my drumming,
Right.
then I'm just a slave to this other drummer.
Ooh.
You've never
Slave
probably
to
saw that
the
approach,
Right.
which is kind of true
But
to
he's
me.
doing what you want him to do.
Yeah, but do it
Basically.
yourself.
Yours.
Do it
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah,
Do it
but
yourself.
you
Do it
have to start to discover for self and try to put self out there and figure out how this is, how this is done. Like everyone says now, the computer's the new wave age. A man created that computer. He added,
limitations.
he added the 5.0 and the 6.0. It was man's, brain that did that. And it's like you need to be able to say, okay, how can I dissect this? How can I do it for self? Because if that person necessarily, when you need them to be there, is not there, you have to know how to carry this,
Right.
yourself.
Right.
And this is my area. I have an undergraduate degree in computer science and a master's in computer science from the School of Engineering at City College. So I saw the development of computers because I attended Howard University for 3 years and studied electrical engineering.
Right.
So I was there when they was doing a lot of research in transistors and miniaturizing the circuitry involved. And I can attest to the fact that I balance science with art, music with engineering.
Right.
So I could understand where she's coming from, that we have become slaves to these machines as opposed to masters of our own souls, so to
Right.
speak.
Right. That's what you're teaching in class?
Because he's a very moving teacher.
Right.
I can say that I'm taking this class, and my major is psychology, and everyone was asking me, well, why are you taking a video and production class? But he's allowed me to see the connection in psychology and, taking this class. There's 3 acts. You introduce the problem, you come up with the solution, and then you execute it.
Right,
and
right.
that's the same thing when
So
you're
it's all
dealing with.
interrelated.
Yeah, it's the same
Life.
thing when you're dealing with life,
fantasy.
counseling, and everything, and it kind of touches each other and holds hands.
Right, right. Well, then how would you tie that into your video production with your documentaries that you would want to produce?
Okay, basically, I think I would like to do documentaries on life stories.
Real life stories, right?
Real life stories of underground artists that are trying to make it, and
Right.
the struggles that they're going through,
That's good.
and needing of compassion and needing of freedom and needing of introduction, and it's like I think that all coincides with
Is there a go ahead.
But just briefly, I'd like to touch back on that past subject as far as the drums and the beats are concerned. I own a production company called Big Nice Entertainment. Now, a lot of our beats and things that we do come off of the computer. However, they're all original. They're not sampled. I mean, we take drum tracks and we break the drum tracks down, and we do what we got to do for them, so that once we reproduce them and we put them on a track and we add other bells, drums, hums, so on and so forth to them, they're like our own.
Original.
Basically, we're not sampling nothing from nobody else, but they're recreated, opposed to like we were talking about the instruments. I'm into the instruments too, because that's the way I started. That's the way I got into music production, instruments, because I play the keyboard. And when we first started, we started out me playing the keyboard, a friend of mine playing the drums. I had another friend of mine playing the bass. And we would get something together. We would just find things. We'd get something together, and the artist might be standing right there, and they'd be like, yo, I'm feeling that. And they'd flow to it. And then we'll drop that, and we'll recreate something else, just playing around. So there is an originality too, as far as getting your putting your beats together off of the keyboard. off of the computer
there's
board,
one distinct
so on and so
sound
forth.
though, because I know if you hit a drum a certain way, you're going to get a certain sound.
Oh, definitely.
That instrument may not give you a different, unique sound. I don't know. It's something with the skin, like if it's tight or
Right, if it's tight or
Yeah,
it's
something with the
Yeah.
electronics too.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a genuine trumpet sound yet coming out of
Oh, no.
really?
But they have a lot. They have problems with flute, trombones, trumpet.
But then you also need to know that it's a genuine computer sound
Right.
of a
So
trumpet.
then we're having
So you
genuine
have-
music. We're not having real
real music. Yeah.
Who's to say what's
then
real
when
music
we-
and what's fake music?
Well,
it's a
I'm
matter of
saying with
interpretation.
regards to the
Exactly.
type of instrument, because if the horn is played a certain way, that is the horn sound you're getting from the computer. But you
Right.
can take it and you can improvise and you can pull it and you can
Modify it.
stretch
Right,
it.
okay.
And that computer is just going to give you that
One
sound.
stretched,
Yeah.
improvised
And so
version.
then what's
I-
happening is that if we listen to other people's music, you have the same sounds.
Yeah, it has to
Well,
do
I
all-
think that I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. I think that it's very few people that would dissect it the way that you do. I think
Yeah,
that there's a lot of
That's
people
right.
that they just go on the internet and they start streaming and
And
they
they
say,
take
okay,
beats
this
and-
beat,
Yeah,
I
that's
like
just
it,
beats.
I'm taking it, and I'm just rolling with
Right.
Okay.
that.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's another reason why people are really starting to float into with their music with live bands
Right.
because they're
live
realizing
bands are like the
that
best.
You get the breath.
everybody
You get the breath of life.
everybody's pulling the same beat
Right.
from this internet website, and it's like they need
Right.
they're starting to realize that you can't duplicate that drum beat that you know that came live. You can't duplicate that horn or that saxophone or that cello, whatever sound that you need. So
Yeah.
they're starting to wake up and they're
Yeah.
starting to
You
introduce
think we're ever going to
themselves.
go back to that?
I think
we
believe
are.
so.
I think we. I
Okay.
think
let the
we're
news
there.
speak. Right.
There's one or two restaurants that I do know, bars that have live bands.
Where?
And when a lot,
There's
there's one, like, for instance,
I went to one downtown one day. I think it was the Garage right on Broadway.
Garage?
Yeah, right on 7th Avenue South. And you walking in, had a blues band,
Wow.
and they grabbing people, come on in, jamming. Oh my God!
and I'll give you one more local, Jimmy's Cafe on 7th Avenue.
yeah.
in Harlem.
Yes.
They have live
They have a
bands.
live
They just
band.
opened
A
it.
live,
The live bands
exactly.
are-
They
a live
also,
jazz
if
band.
you go, a lot of people don't like to go down to the Village, but if you go down to the Village, there's a 101 Club on 7th Ave.
That's what I'm talking
and
about. The 101 Club. That's
Yes,
what I said the
it
Garage
was-
is right next door. Yeah,
yes,
you're right.
it was just
They
wonderful.
And then you
I
also-
just went in there
Yeah.
one night, and the live band,
Yep.
they have someone up there singing.
Yep.
Right.
He'll jump on the table, make you sing with him, and it's like
amazing.
Because
it
you have
brings you there.
You have the jazz musicians now of all ethnicities,
That's
playing
right.
Yes.
playing the music, and
Right.
also you have an underground ska movement amongst
Yeah.
the young people.
What is ska?
Ska is was before reggae. It's music that comes out of Jamaica.
Caribbean music.
Caribbean music.
Yeah.
It's usually on the upbeat all the time, but you got
Right.
like tremendous horn sections. Some
Like-
commercials on TV use
Horns,
ska to sample.
sax,
Jingles.
You
guitar.
have to respect it. Like I
Yeah.
said, for me, I respect the live band, the live instruments, so on and so forth, because, like I said, that's where I started at. I
Right.
started putting it together.
got a
there.
foundation.
And at that point, that's when I said, all right, well, let's do it like this. And then, as time went on,
Right.
I learned the computer from a
Right.
producer that's part of my company. He
That's right.
introduced me to the computer.
Right.
So, I mean, we're not like closed into just one form of producing. I mean,
Right.
we have the aspect of this producer that I have part of my company
Right.
doing it on a computer, but we also have the option to say, well, let's rent a room. Let's rent this instrument, that instrument, this instrument, and let's put something together like this. So it's a variety. It's
Like
not
I said,
just computer.
You're
love.
very
Right.
rare
Right.
that
Beautiful.
that you do that because a
He
lot
was
of
able
people,
to-
they just don't.
Right, right.
For me,
Because they're looking for the fast buck.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So they find it, oh, all right, put that with that, sing on that, and then that's a wrap.
One more last point about that, as being a flautist, a jazz flautist, you can't breathe life into the computer. I mean,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So when I'm breathing into my horn, I'm breathing the essence of who I am.
Right.
When I pluck a guitar,
Right.
the guitar player is plucking the essence to who they are.
You can
Wow.
feel
You
you
can
can
feel
feel the
that.
Yes.
vibrations
Yes.
of it, and it makes you want to produce the great quality of music that you need to produce when you are doing it from the
Right.
soul, and you, like he said, playing that guitar,
So
blowing
then
that
that's
flute.
the sign of a gifted artist as opposed to someone that just grabbed an instrument and put it together.
Well, I don't know.
Gifted,
Is there a
gifted
difference?
as well
Because
as,
did you
as well
learn
as
on
rehearsed.
your own, or did
No, you
someone
have to
teach
learn
you?
it.
Is
For
it
me,
something
you have to find the
private?
gift.
You gotta have the drive. You gotta want to do it.
You have to
Like
find
me,
the
I
gift.
learned on my own.
But I don't
but
have a desire to play an instrument.
You gotta
I
find the gift.
love the piano.
You know what
but
you have to do? You have to play on that piano and you have to say,
You gotta
I
find the
love
gift.
it. I feel this. And at that point in time, you have to just push yourself to learn more. You have to
Right.
ask questions.
Right.
You have to watch
have to have
other
an open
individuals.
But can anyone be an artist? Can anyone
Yes.
be a
I
musician?
think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Any-
With today's
That's the-
technology,
divi-
or
that's the,
I think that
that's a divinity
I'm sorry,
that,
yeah.
that the Supreme has bestowed upon us.
Yes,
But you have to
yes.
find it.
Yeah, I believe that everyone has that inside of them
You just
because
have
you
to
know,
find it,
if you really go way back, that's how I can speak for us as African Americans. That's how we really started things. There was the drum beating, there was the dancing, there was the singing, the high pitching. It was all of that, and it was placed together. And it wasn't if you could sing or if you couldn't sing or if you were, when they called a tribe meeting, that was just what it was. You joined in whether you had the rhythm or you didn't have the rhythm. And it's in us. It's you know, it's really in us.
Well,
for us to do
that goes back to church.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because you got people in the choir that cannot sing a lick,
but will get up
they
there.
can get up there and sing the hymn.
But then you cultivate the sound by constant repetition of
exactly.
practice. That's where the word because they know I'm all into vocabulary.
Right.
Because the essence of the word vocabulary has meaning when you split up the syllables. Because voca in Latin means mouth, to speak. Larry is the listing of spoken words defined. That's vocabulary. When you come to cultivate, you have to bring that out of you through discipline and hard work and practice.
Repetition.
The word cultivate comes culture, comes cult, which has been given a negative connotation. But if I have a band and we playing, we got a cult. What's wrong with that? Because we cultivating it. So words are important, especially when it deals with music.
Right.
I'm still trying to find the word in Swahili for music, because I know muse comes from the Greek word for music, but I want to know what the interpretation is in other languages. Like jazz comes from Sister Camille Yarborough, a great African scholar. She tells me that jazz comes from Jazu, from one of the African languages called a celebration, to celebrate.
But I think that, you know, as going far back, as like he said, getting into vocabulary and getting into past, even if you go as far back into religion, like you take, like my favorite psalm is like Psalm 101, make a joyful noise unto the Lord, you know, sing and dance, you know, it's been there from the beginning. And I think that, you know, just as life goes, you start from the beginning, then you end, then you begin again. I think also music, you know, takes that repetitious you know, it may sway a little bit, but nothing beats hearing that drum beat live.
And that is the essence.
Nothing beats.
It gets your soul.
Yeah,
it
makes you
moving around.
It makes you
put the body into
you know,
it.
it makes you sit up and say, "Hey, that felt good." You know,
That's why you have great
you can't deny it.
And you have somebody to relate to. You can look into the musician's eyes while you're dancing, and you know, and just let them know, like, listen, I'm feeling this.
But that's the way it was in the 20s and 30s.
Exactly. Opposed to just listening to a CD or
But you
tape.
rock. Come up with new dances.
And
I think we are going back.
that's why I love underground. That's why I love underground, because
what is
with
the
underground
to you
can
underground versus
because
contemporary
with underground
mainstream?
you have people that don't mind coming out and having a cipher. Okay, don't mind coming out and saying, I may not have music behind me, but somebody, you make a beat, come on, because I'm gonna show you what I have, and I'm gonna sing, or I'm gonna dance, or I'm gonna say my poetry, and and it makes them, you can see them glow. It makes them feel good, you know. And I think
but look at what's selling today.
Yes,
listen to the lyrics. He's talking about the vocabulary. Listen to what we're hearing. Is it touching our soul, or what is it designed?
You gotta think about this. All right, I'm a young black man living in an urban city, and a lot of times, what catches you with rap is the beat. But, however, if you listen to what the rappers are saying, most times they're not. They're dropping a message. They're leaving a jewel. Whether they're putting it in a derogatory form, or whether they're putting it in an elevated way of thinking form, they're dropping a message. I mean, a lot of urban inner city young black men can identify with seeing a guy selling drugs and going through the trials and tribulations of making it out of that or never making it out of that. So, you know, for somebody that hasn't gone through it and they're listening to it, they're saying, they're saying like, well, you know, what's going on with him? You know, I don't want to hear that. But if you identify with it, if you've seen it before, if you've been there before, you say, hey, yo, you know.
But what about the music that we're hearing more so now? Because I know there's rap that's playing a lot. But what happened to our R&B?
Well,
Listen
see-
to who's playing the R&B. I like Carl Thomas and Montel Jordan because they are symbolic to me too. Back in the days when you had the ballads.
Right.
But what's happening now? And listen to what we're hearing
Yeah.
now. The mainstream media, the music industry
Well,
is
see, that's
playing.
where the problem is. The mainstream media, they're saying, okay, I want you
To be a hip-hop.
step behind hip hop and just a little bit of Smokey Robinson in
Yeah.
the middle.
Right.
And it's like
mix
that's what's happening with R&B. You'll notice that like now on a lot of R&B's artists' videos, they have a rapper attached to it.
Because
Now,
that's
they
what's
have
selling.
That's
because
what's selling.
that's
They're
what-
looking for the
But
dollar.
you're not being true to your art form if you're a
Yes,
musician.
that's another
You're
reason
right.
why I love underground.
Yeah.
Because you have these people that will stand out on their own and say, okay, this is me. This is it. This is all I got to give you, you know.
But that's good.
And-
But the bills need to be paid.
That's true.
That's
But
what
then
that's what it
choices do you
ultimately
make?
comes
And
down
I'm
to.
going to ask him, what choices do you make? Because when you think about contemporary, when you think about the mainstream versus being true to your art, do you say, okay, fine, I'm not going to be, I'm not going to play it this way. I'll play it that way because I need to get paid, or you're going to stay true to your art form and you're going to play from your heart, from your soul.
What I would do
Well, that's what I'm
is
doing
what I would do
from your heart.
is I would come out being true to my heart, get the bills paid,
Right.
then come back to my heart.
Right.
Because ultimately the bills need to be paid.
Well, I feel
But if
a
the
little
bills
different.
need to be paid, then they're actually dictating the type of music
Yeah.
that we hear, and then it won't be. Then a market like an underground will blow
Well,
up.
it's always
and-
been difficult for musicians to pay the bills through music.
All
Let's
of
go back and just study. Only a few musicians make it wealthy in this industry.
Exactly.
Maybe Quincy Jones,
the ones that
because he
was
scores
playing
a-
through their heart.
He smokes motion picture, but at one time he did play from the heart. But then you just have to go contemporary.
So they never can play from your heart. You're saying that they never.
No, I think
You
they
have
do.
to
I
distinguish.
think
You have
they
to
do.
say, all right, this is I have
In
to
a
do a little
sense,
bit of
it is
this,
from your
have to
heart.
do a little bit
Yeah.
of that. It's
Yeah.
from your heart, but
It's
it's not
creative. It's
as
creativity.
down home and
It's the business part of it that messes it up.
business
Well,
aspect of the
how,
music.
how
Yes. So
much
there's-
of a slave are you willing to be? And that's the concept that you have to think of it in. Okay, you have people day by day telling you what to do, what to wear, how to wear, just by watching television, watching commercials, listening to music on the radio. How much are you going to be a slave to the rhythm? If you really feel that in your heart, my music, my singing or my acting or my poetry or whatever it is that you do, if you really feel like I'm not going to let anybody step in and dilute it, then I say be true to your heart. Be extremely true to your heart, because once it's diluted, I'm sorry, you can't get it back the way that it used to be. You can't get, because you're always going to want that little bit of extra, change that they
You'll
put in
never
your
feel
pocket or
fulfilled.
something. You
You'll
will
never
never
feel
really
That's
feel
all
that.
part of striving towards perfection, because I've been playing for a while. I was playing, I used to have a repertoire 80 songs back in the 70s going into the 80s. I used to have to learn songs like Earth, Wind, and Fire, Reasons,
Right.
Ladies Night, Kool and the Gang, Brass Construction, Crown Heights Sophia, all those bands back then. And it was a joy because we had to pick them up through the music, and that's what jazz greats do. They pick it up through the music. But nowadays, like you touched upon it before, they're closing down art,
Yeah.
music in the high schools.
Exactly.
Now, how can civilizations strive forward and leave a legacy like the ancient
What
Egyptians,
message are they sending?
and there's nothing
Right.
left?
Right.
Wow.
Right.
You know something
Technology?
else, though?
Technology?
Another thing is
I won't
deep.
buy that.
Striving from the heart again. The rap artists that I do know, the things that they do right is from the heart. That's what's coming from their heart.
Right.
So it varies.
Right,
What's
right.
coming from
So
your
that
heart,
is
what's coming
the art
from my
form.
heart.
That is their.
That's their
I
heart
think it's
form.
beautiful.
Like when they write
But
it
we
and
need
then
to
they
find
sing
balance.
it. Like I have a writer or artist that he writes something and he's singing. The first thing he's saying is your tone. You gotta hear this.
Right.
And when
You
he's
have
singing,
it.
he's like,
Yeah.
did you like that?
You
And
said
he's like
balance,
really into
and that's
it.
the
So
key.
that's
But
that's
is
coming
there
from his heart.
balance in this industry? Is there any balance? Is there room for balance?
But the rap is like a griot or the oracle or the ancient scribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Because
are
they could-
so right.
Because it's so deep that they can actually take their mind power and create stories, and that's what the ancient scribes did.
Exactly.
That's what the ancient folklore and the Native American Indians did, or the African tribe, or from
They,
India.
they
with the
create
Vedas.
stories and they make it and they make them go.
And
Or
they
the-
put
or
dance
the stories
along with
are
that.
true.
This is
That's
why we
right.
have
A lot of-
Jill Scott
like that
today.
that
Because
I
the
feel-
music
Like
is
that movie I
moving
wrote
back
and I showed.
towards
Yes.
the
I
message.
feel that with rap music, I feel that with rap rap music, rap is always going to be here because that is something that they've been trying to kill for years. And it's
Well, they said that about rock and pop and bebop and all of that.
can't kill it.
Rap comes
keeps
from the culture.
reinventing
Yeah,
It comes from the soul.
itself. But when you start to talk about R&B people, okay, and you start to talk about poets, and you start to talk about all those, you know, interesting playing musical instruments, that, like rap, needs to reinvent itself too.
Okay. On that note, I want to give much props and thanks to our camera person, one of my students here, Keisha. She's doing the camera work. Excellent. We kind of like 31 into the ocean here and, to swim. Also in the back, chopping up the boards, doing the switching from cam 1, 2, and 3, etc. is yours truly, Deshaun Pretlow here from Eminem. And we're going to pick up on this topic again.
Definitely.
Because we're definitely dealing with some intelligent folks here.
Yeah, take care.
Because this is kind of deep.
I thank you
Because
for
you know,
letting me come onto your show. We did an excellent job.
This is called Rising Star. My name is Orlando Mcallister. I'm going to bring you some jazz. I played 3 tunes. One of the tunes was My Foolish Heart, going back to the 30s. The Theme by Miles Davis. And also 4 by Miles Davis. So sit back, listen to the tune. Until next time.